I know you thought the real big bad of Ant-Man Quantumania was Kang, but I'm here to tell you that the real problem is the problem child, Cassie Lang. And I know this title could easily be a video about how Kang feels completely underwhelming and lame, just as it could be about the insane portrayal of Cassie, but in this video we're talking about the latter. I only watched this film a couple of days ago on Disney+, and above the beige dialogue and rushed CGI, the thing I took away from this was that Cassie Lang must be stopped. Cassie Lang is not likable in this film, and what makes it even worse is being constantly gaslit by all the other characters that she in fact is. By the way, we have to acknowledge that Marvel cannot continue to keep poorly writing female characters and get mad at their audience when they say they're bad. There is of course a group of people who have their agendas, but generally speaking, you're dropping the ball, Marvel, and you're giving those with agendas free ammunition. Off the top of my head, She-Hulk, Captain Marvel, Cassie Lang, they're all victims of Marvel's writing. And I'm about to go in, but I don't hold anything against the actors personally. When you're seeing Disney kids go to Emmy winners, you start to understand that these actors aren't actually superheroes, they're just pretending to be. And given the right role and environment, they can shine, and in the wrong role and the wrong environment, like Cassie Lang. So Cassie Lang in this film bullies her dad, constantly berating him as if he's some layabout bum who didn't just save the world. Why isn't he out trying to save the world like she is, and instead just writing books and being happy? Okay. First of all, your entire wanting to help probably directly came from being inspired by this man. You literally have your own Ant-Man suit that you used to stop plastic waste, whatever she said she was doing, and you run around literally trying to emulate your father. And secondly, how was it shameful to want to write a book after you, and I have it written down here, fell into a microscopic world, came back hours later only due to the aid of a rogue rat, and then to realize that it had actually been 5 years later. This then leads you to meet up with the Avengers, where you convince a man to invent and perfect time travel after being the test subject for prior attempts. You then go on a time heist named by you, more or less succeed, and return to present day where you find 8-foot purple alien that looks like Josh Brolin. Win again, bring the other half of the entire universe back to actual life, potentially including your mother, who you would have presumed to be dead for the past 5 years. I mean, people have written books for less. I personally think an international bestseller should be a proud family achievement. Let's go have a barbecue or something. But no, not in the eyes of Cassie. That's so 2 years ago, Dad. You saved the world? Ew, cringe. But was you at last weekend's BLM protest? Maybe this delusion has stemmed from the fact that in the 5 years where half of all people were gone, she decided to become a genius. Like that's a thing you can just do. Because I'm not sure how else you could explain that this girl, who for all intents and purposes was a nice kid, but not one who was on track to be one of the best inventors of a generation, managed to engineer a subatomic Hubble telescope, whatever the hell that means. This is so silly but also so annoying. You set up characters like Peter, Shuri, and Riri, but have someone like Cassie just join the bunch late because she picked up an interest in it due to her dad being lost. I can understand a manic obsession with the quantum realm because of it, but that doesn't mean that obsession would lead you to not only eventually comprehend it, but become the master of it. If my parent was lost somewhere in space, I wouldn't suddenly be of NASA level intelligence to build a rocket ship to go and get them. And that's space, let alone some quantum realm. Like, it completely diminishes the achievements of the actual child geniuses Marvel have set up, and forget that, it diminishes the achievements of the very grown man in the very room. Why couldn't Hank just make it? This random kid who he only knows because he hired her dad to break in somewhere and steal some shit has now Tony Stark style built something in a basement for a box of scraps across what, like a summer? An afternoon? It doesn't matter anyway, because the fact she did it at all is just wild. I'm sorry, but MCU Cassie Lang shouldn't even be able to perfectly design and craft something like that over 10 lifetimes. The films have not earned that for her. Now, in the car ride home after good guy Cassie got arrested, she is in zero trouble, backed up by Hope, laughs off every Scott comment like he's an idiot, and proclaims that she can look after herself as she learned to be pretty good at that by now. Like, what are you like, how are you living in a world where Scott, your mom, your stepdad all intentionally walked out on you and didn't either get imprisoned to a world of potential death or just straight up die? Where is your logic in that insensitive statement? And also, how can you live in a world where every single person in some way has experienced the exact same trauma, but yet feel like you're the one who got shortchanged? Like, she then at least apologizes, even though she like rolls her eyes as if her dad is just some emotional little bitch who can't handle the truth. But she apologizes nonetheless. But she only does this to then sit down at the dining room table where she's backed up by her entourage who just as she openly talks about how she casually gets arrested for whatever performative hero bullshit she's been up to. And she says she doesn't tell Scott about this because she knows he'd act like this. What is this exactly? You mean act completely reasonable, all things considered? She says she's still trying to do something with her life, unlike Scott, who, must I remind you, doesn't sit in the basement day and night playing Overwatch like Cassie would have you believe. Also, like, the phrasing. At least I'm still trying to do something with my
bitch, he's like 40, what do you mean?
You're 17, you should have more impetus to be doing more than him at this stage. He's done most of it already. He's allowed to slow down a bit. Scott said he saved the world, and everybody is like, shut up, that was like 2 years ago, we're over it, big work. And Cassie says, what do you do now? This scene is hilarious if you replace Scott with like a war veteran who's just trying to show off like his bravery medals or something. Like, the fight doesn't end when you get back from Afghanistan, old man. Now get out in those streets. We've got to just stop all protests at 5. We're gonna grow 30 feet and lie in traffic. Cassie then ends it by saying at least she's still trying to do something that matters. I hope she understands that the job of being Ant-Man isn't like a 9 to 5. It's quite random. God hasn't hung up his suit or anything. Like a fight that needed him presented itself and he showed up and full. And if another event like that happened tomorrow or next year, he would naturally do that again. So sorry the sky isn't currently falling right now and doesn't need Ant-Man to run out and stop it. Not just in these scenes, but even one in the quantum realm when Scott just wants to get out with his family. Cassie says they need to stay and help the bacteria fight their war or whatever. It's like, fine, sure, but why is everything coming from a place where you're always constantly looking down at your dad all the time? It's even more crazy because when you look at Cassie in prior films, she spends almost every moment of screen time looking up to him, even when he maybe doesn't deserve it. She has such a bond with him and sees all his flaws as the things that make him perfect to her. That remains when they reunite in Endgame, but 2 years have passed since that reuniting moment and 7 years have passed since he first went missing, and it seems, after some reflection in the last 2 years, she decided, you know what, nah, fuck this guy. He's old and weak and lazy, and I'm the new and improved. Move out the way, dad, because there's a new Ant in town. You know what, let's just make her the new villain of phase 5, and all of a sudden she's a perfect fit.